What's the difference between the TVS Jupiter and the planet Jupiter? Well, there's just one planet while there are more than 45 lakh TVS Jupiters out on our roads. It is India's second best-selling scooter and is a mainstay of TVS Motor Company in the 110cc scooter segment. Now, TVS has decided to broaden the horizon of the Jupiter brand and has introduced this scooter. Hello and welcome to DriveSpark. I'm Stephen Neal and this is the all-new TVS Jupiter 125. Is it just a Jupiter with a bigger engine or is there more to it? Let's find out. Let's get straight to the heart of the matter. This new 125cc engine. It's a 124.8cc air-cooled engine. It's a single cylinder. It does seem like the displacement and the overall layout of the engine is very similar to that of the TVS Ntorq. However, TVS insists that it is not and that this is a brand new engine. It puts out 8.1 bhp, which is about 1.1 bhp lesser than that of the Ntorq, and it puts out 10.5 Nm of peak torque, which is identical to that in the Ntorq. While the Ntorq gets a 3-valve setup, this gets a 2-valve setup, and that is the difference between this 125cc engine and the 125cc engine in the Ntorq. Now let's take a little more detailed look at this engine. It gets TVS's intelligent technologies like eco-thrust fuel injection and Intelli-Go technology, which means it has a start-stop system, and that also means that the starter motor has been replaced by an integrated starter generator. That gives a premium start. You should listen to it. We'll show you that in just a bit. There are several internal changes that make this engine more modern and sophisticated. For example, it's got the lightweight crankshaft, it's got a low inertia crankshaft mechanism, it's also got a silent cam chain. So there's a lot of technology going on inside that engine. So this makes the engine more reliable and it is very smooth as well. It is one of the smoothest engines in the scooter segment in India and offers excellent efficiency. The all-new TVS Jupiter 125 is based on a new chassis and TVS claims it is lighter and more rigid, and that should aid in handling. Now, in terms of brakes, it's got a 220mm disc up front and at the rear it's got a 130mm drum brake. Now this is the top spec model. TVS will initially sell it in 3 variants. This is a top spec where you get a disc brake up front. The mid spec variant is where you get alloy wheels on the scooter but you get drum brakes at both ends. And the lower variant is where you get the wheels made out of sheet metal, but this one, it definitely looks good. We'll talk about the design in just a bit. Now let's talk about the suspension. At the rear, it's got a monoshock, which is 3-step adjustable for preload. It's also got a gas canister, and it's probably one of the most advanced suspensions in this segment. And up front, you've got a telescopic fork, and that pretty much sums up the mechanicals of the all-new TVS Jupiter. Now this is a huge improvement over the Jupiter 110 and a lot of other scooters in the Indian market. What does it translate to when you're on the saddle? Let's go ride it and find out. The first thing you will realize when you get onto the saddle of the TVS Jupiter 125 is just how comfortable it is. TVS has really worked on the ergonomics to keep the rider comfortable. The riding posture is upright and the extra space on the floorboard only enhances this comfortable feel. Thumb the starter button and you will realize just how premium it feels. It starts up quietly and the engine too idles quietly. Twist the throttle and the Jupiter accelerates pretty quickly. The power and torque figures come in pretty early and that certainly helps. We of course didn't ride it in the real world, but we did some slow riding near the TVS test track and it does seem well balanced at low speeds. It certainly feels like this scooter will excel in everyday practicality and usability. How does it handle? Well, the scooter certainly felt planted on the super long right-hander at TVS's test track. It also felt flickable and is easy to change direction. Maneuverability in tight spaces shouldn't be a problem. The suspension, however, is definitely set more towards comfort than handling, which is exactly what its target audience wants. TVS claims the seat is the longest in the segment and it is really comfortable too. Of course, we do not know how a pillion rider feels on this seat yet, but do stay tuned. We will be bringing that to you in a full road test review. Now let's go and take a look at the features of the all-new TVS Jupiter 125. The all-new TVS Jupiter 125 comes with a long list of features, and we start off with this convenient feature. It's the fuel filler cap that is located up front. This is certainly bound to make life at the fuel station a lot easier. Also, That has led to the fuel tank being placed under the floorboard, and that has made a lot of space available under the seat. Now TVS claims it has 33 liters of under-seat storage, and it is really lengthy as well, so it can swallow 2 full face helmets. Of course, it's not the full size helmets, but these are medium size helmets. However, they are full faced, and that is a neat feature indeed. Also, you get an LED light under the seat, and that will help you see what's in the storage in low light conditions. Now let's get back to the front end. Now you've got this all-in-one lock here, and that is a really convenient feature as well. You can open the seat, you can open the fuel filler cap, and use the ignition features, as well as lock the scooter all through this one place, and that is a neat feature as well. Right next to it, you've got the USB smartphone charging socket, and that can be used to charge your smartphone, and you can place your smartphone right there. There is a small 2-liter cubbyhole, and that can be used to store your knickknacks, your small things that you'd like to keep handy while you're riding the scooter. Let's come to the lighting. You've got an LED headlamp. It's LED tech by TVS, and it's really bright. Of course, we haven't tested it at night. We have to stay tuned for a road test review for that. However, it does look very promising. You also got LED DRLs on the apron, and right below them are the indicators. The indicators up front, at the rear, and also the tail lamp are all halogen lit. In terms of instrumentation, the TVS Jupiter 125 gets a digital analog setup. To the left, you've got the speedometer, and to the right, you've got a small LCD screen that gets a blue backlight. It displays a lot of information like the time, the odometer, the trip meters. You've got fuel efficiency gauges as well. You get instant fuel efficiency, average fuel efficiency, and it also displays the distance to empty, which is a neat feature for a scooter in this segment. You also got the mode and set button to adjust the LCD screen, and that pretty much sums up the overall features on the TVS Jupiter. Let's talk about switchgear. Switchgear feels decently premium. There's not a lot to talk about here. However, there is one switch that I would like to talk about, and that is this switch that takes the place of the kill switch. It's where you would expect the kill switch to be. However, it is what turns the auto start stop on or off. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, you get the auto start stop feature on this. It is pretty nifty when you're in traffic. However, it can get annoying at times when it keeps turning off regularly when you want the vehicle to move. And yes, it can be turned off with the flick of a switch, so that's a neat function as well. That pretty much sums up the features of the TVS Jupiter 125. In terms of the design and style, there are several changes that differentiate this scooter from the TVS Jupiter 110. And well, even though the overall silhouette of the scooter remains identical, there are a few elements that make it stand out. It's got a more youthful and yet premium design. So let's talk about those premium features that make it stand out. Firstly, you've got the chrome elements on the apron near the instrumentation. You've got the chrome elements on the body. So these elements finished in chrome make the scooter stand out. It makes it look more premium. TVS has mentioned that they have done this to give the scooter a more premium feel. Do you like chrome? Well, we would have loved a matte black or a body color. However, if you like chrome, do let us know in the comments below what makes it more premium. Now let's talk about a few other design features, and let me bring you straight to the alloy wheels. The alloy wheels look really premium. They get a cool and funky design, and they get a dual tone finish as well. So that makes the scooter stand out. It makes the scooter look excellent. The front half of the apron from the other side is also finished in the same color as the body, and that gives it a more premium look as well. It looks more classy compared to those scooters which get a matte black plastic finish on the backside as well. Now keep in mind that this scooter is a mixture of plastic and metal as well. You get lots of plastic elements and a few metal elements. It's called Metal Max by TVS, and what that is basically, they're trying to make those parts of the body that are susceptible to accidents in metal. So they're made from steel alloy. The front fender, for example, is made from steel alloy, and the body as well. However, the front apron, the headlamp assembly, and the footboard are all made of plastic. Yet the finish looks excellent and is uniform throughout, so kudos to TVS for that. The rear end is redesigned as well, and you get Jupiter 125 badging on the body. That pretty much sums up the design and styling aspect of the TVS Jupiter 125. The little things about the TVS Jupiter 125. First, the silent starter motor, or the ISG, integrated starter generator. So what it does is, it's a very silent start. it's integrated into the engine, so you barely hear the starter motor, you hear only the engine cranking up. It also gives you the one-touch start feature, and also let's take a look at the Intelli-Go feature, the stop start feature. All you have to do is idle it for a while, and if this switch is turned on, the Intelli-Go switch, the sign will blink for 5 times and then it will turn off. And once it's turned off, all you have to do is hold on to the brake and blip the throttle and it starts up again. This will save you a lot of fuel in heavy traffic situations. Now, a few other little things about the TVS Jupiter 125. How do you open the fuel filler cap? So you just turn off the ignition, push it in and turn to the right, and voila, the fuel filler cap opens. And you do the same to the left and the seat opens. Now, once the seat is open, you will notice how long the seat is. While closing it though, there appears to be a slight issue. You can see this play in the seat here, and while closing, if you're not careful, you could misalign it, and if you press hard, you could damage the scooter. So you got to be really careful, align it properly and then close it. So these were the little things about the TVS Jupiter 125. Demand in the 125cc scooter segment is increasing at a rapid pace, and that is exactly what prompts manufacturers to launch new products in the segment, and this is a perfect example of that. TVS already has the Ntorq 125, and that caters to the performance-oriented buyers, while this caters more to the family-oriented buyers, and while TVS has done a brilliant job with this scooter. To answer the question that I asked at the beginning of the video, is it just a Jupiter with a bigger engine or is there more to it? Well, as we've already explained, there certainly is more to the scooter than just the bigger engine, and well, TVS has done a brilliant job at that. Thank you for watching. Do let us know what you think of this scooter in the comments below, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel already yet, do that just now. And this is Stephen Neal signing off for DriveSpark.